Thank
Hey.
you. Happy Aloha Friday, everybody. Hope everyone had a great week. I see Raphael on. It's good seeing you in Riverside. That was a fun event. Anybody got anything that they're working on or needs, good deeds? Any deals on the table like Ben and Kiko were talking about?
Anybody's looking for a 12 unit, we have a 12 unit off market in Houston. It's an apartment building, and a doctor owns it who's out of California. He wants to get out of it so he can go spend his money on some California stuff, which I don't know why he'd want to spend his money in California, but apparently he does. So if anybody's interested, 12 units, just under $1 million, so not too bad.
Oh, perfect. Looks like Raphael is he'd like to take a look. Nice.
Hey, Raphael, just shoot us an email.
What's up, you guys? Aloha Friday. Haven't been on here for a long time, but good to see all you guys. We have a meetup coming up on the 29th. It's a collaboration with Alex Camacho at the house, his beach house that he just finished. So it's a deals in Aloha with all the real estate deal makers. And it's cool because for anybody that came to the first one, we did a deals in Aloha at this house when it was like mid renovation. So Alex learned a lot of lessons about Hawaii on this house, and I'm sure he's gonna share all that stuff, but it'll be a super good learning experience. I think it took a year and a half to get electricity, like all the things that could have delayed the project that we experience all the time here in Hawaii. He's going to be sharing about all that stuff. So I'm going to put my Instagram handle in the chat. If you guys want to come, just check out the flyer on my page. It's on the 29th. So that's a Saturday at 10:30 to 12:30. It's free. You don't have to register. Just show up. We'll break down like how he found the deal, again, like all the issues that he had with it, and then just network. Last time we had about 100 people that came out. The beach is right next door to his house, so it's perfect for a meetup because we just migrated over to the beach. It'll just be fellowship and talking about real estate, dude, everything that we love. So I'm excited for seeing you guys all there.
Awesome. Thanks, Kamahai.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I bet Alex had a lot of learning lessons on that too. Yeah. We know what that's like, having to wait for Hiko and board of water and fire and all of that.
Yeah, everything. And then contractor issues and all the things that we have to experience, you know what I mean? So it'll be good for people at all different experience levels because, dude, Alex has been doing this for a really long time, but it points out how necessary it is to have teams in the locations that you're in, that are boots on the ground, that know that market intimately, because every single market has so many little intricacies, you know what I mean? And Hawaii is like probably the worst. So, but yeah, I'll be stoked to see you guys.
Yeah, awesome. It's Hawaii, and then it's also West Side too, right? So you get the demographic to learn. And Alex, being from the mainland, probably was like, not so bad.
Yeah.
But, and it's not horrible. It's just different.
Totally.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a good one. I think we got like our property like robbed like 3 times. Like the landscaping, put the landscaping in, all of a sudden it's gone the next day. They take tools, all kinds of stuff, man. It's different out there. But
it is. But hey, the beach is the beach. That sounds like a great one.
Oh, yeah.
So, deals and Aloha and Speedos. If you need information, talk to Kamohai.
Yeah, bring your Speedos. No, like it's the Makaha and Waianae side has some of the best beaches, man. There's so much beauty out there, and it is being revitalized, and I think a lot of the credit is to a lot of us in the community. There's a lot of people out there like Makaha, Waianae, Maili that are cleaning up you know, the neighborhood. So yeah. Well, thank you, Kamal High, for the invite. And yeah, if anyone can make it out there, check the chat for his info. That actually reminds me, we're so Cheryl, who some of you may know, Cheryl Matsuoka is going to start the meetup that she was running before COVID. That was the meetup that I was the administrator for. They're gonna kind of revitalize that, bring that back, and they're trying to see if they can get somebody from the Department of Planning and Permitting. That would be fun. Nice. That'd be interesting. But I think it's important for, you know, someone from the planning department to be out there in the community and getting on the same page as developers and investors. You know, like, how can we as investors help them, you know, be more efficient? Like, we don't solve problems by just pointing the finger, which I'm guilty of too. You know, it's easy to just like blame DPP and stuff, but if we really want change, then we got to be on the same side of the table, I feel. So hopefully with the new leadership there, that they have an initiative of that sort. We'll keep inviting them. You know, I don't blame them for not wanting to come and speak, you know, in front of all the people that, you know, they're probably costing a lot of money, right? They cost me a lot of money. I'm sure they cost a lot of you guys a lot of money. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we're not going to get anything resolved if it's always just finger pointing. So I think hopefully they can bring somebody on and it's a productive meeting, and you know, I'll keep you guys updated. It's going to be early August. I think they're going to have the same criteria where you have to have done at least one deal to attend and be a part of the mastermind. Even if you lost money on the deal, it's fine. It's a deal. So, but I'll keep you guys updated. That's going to be a fun one to jump back into.
Nice. Speaking of meetups, Jacob and I have been talking about, we got to do one in Seattle. So I don't know if you're in, Ben, but we're going to try to figure out a date, figure out a location. And it may just start off at a bar over beers. Beers, and deals. That doesn't go very well together. We'll have to come up with a better tagline than that. Deals. Yeah.
Keep trying, bro.
I don't know. It's not working. Jacob, help me out, bro.
What about bargains and beers?
Ooh.
Bargains and beers. I kind of like that. Yeah, that sounds good.
Bargaining, deals. I don't know. That's what popped in my head.
The deals. We should steal Kamal High's deals in Aloha. We should say Aloha since we're from Hawaii.
Okay. He's got to franchise it.
Franchise it. He's not on anyway, so he can't vote. So we'll just vote for him. Yeah, we'll have to pick.
I think that's a great idea. Start something in Seattle.
Yeah,
is Carl still putting his stuff on out there?
Nah, Taro moved to Austin, Texas.
Yes, I know that. I believe that's the.
Is he still out there though?
No, he's gone. He's busy.
Oh, he's busy living his best life, yeah? He's great.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. He's having fun. It's good.
I miss them.
Yeah, he's good. Hey, look at Keone's new background. Look at that. Kuleana.
Oh, yeah.
Raw, fancy on you.
Sexy.
You get like $5 from your last deal. You go buy yourself one fancy light.
I like it.
Free 99.
Oh, free 99, even better. Oh, that's really nice. I like it. Is that your new company?
No, same company, yeah.
Same, man.
You changed the logo.
Just elevating.
Yeah, just elevating. I love it. That's the only way. Well, does anybody have anything else? Okay. No one? Okay. All right. Well, Kamahai has his contact in the chat if you guys are interested in joining. And then Raphael, I think you have my email, yeah? I'll put my email and Kiko's in here anyways. But send them to Kekoa. No need to send them to me. I get enough stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. It'll be fine. Oh, which email you like on there? You drop your email, bro. You get like 20, that's why.
Oh, if anybody needs to email me, it's kekoa@teamkekoa.com.
All right, guys. Well, let's talk about because I don't think we got to talk about this last time, but I just my discussion is the numbers on like inflation looks like it's down. It's coming down, right? I think we're in the 3s. So, but they're still talking about giving it another bump, maybe a small one, maybe a big one. I don't know. But I don't know if I've noticed anything, at least in the Hawaii market, volume other than the volume being down, right? So, but in other markets like Seattle, like Houston as well, Vegas, where else is everybody investing? Like, are you seeing, and maybe Ben can, if you can chime in and kick well, because you're always in different markets, right? So from Houston to Dallas to Seattle, like some of the major metropolitan areas, what is the market feeling like now? Kiko, you have insight? Texas, especially.
Yeah, I was going to let Ben go first if he wants to talk about Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's getting hot again. Things are selling. Things are moving. Prices are going up. So, yeah, I mean, we've always had a housing shortage here. That's never gone away. So we're maybe unique compared to a few other areas of the country, but kind of more like Hawaii. Like the market never really goes down that much.
Yep.
But yeah, it's rolling right along here.
That seems to be the same with Vegas. Is seeming the same Hawaii as well. How's the Texas markets that you're seeing? Okay, cool. I know they're kind of different now.
Yeah, Texas is a little bit slower right now in terms of the fact that you could still make some pretty low offers. There's not as many investors making offers right now, so we're still able to negotiate. But I'm with Ben for Seattle in regards to low inventory. So even anything that goes on market is still getting a lot of attention, and things are they're getting closer to list price now. Before there was a big delta, but I think sellers are now becoming a little bit more realistic and setting prices a little more realistically, and things that are selling are not selling that far from list. Vegas is crazy right now. It still is massive amount of action. It's the weirdest thing. But I think a piece of that is the fact that there's still a greater level of affordability. So there's a lot of action, a lot of properties selling quickly. Multifamilies are ridiculously overpriced right now in Vegas because there's a big, huge generation of renters. So a lot of the millennials, they don't want to buy. So they're totally happy with being a renter. And so they're driving up the demand for rentals. And as the demand goes up, then rental rates go up. And when rental rates go up, then the income to the property goes up, which then from a cap rate evaluation makes the price go up. So it's pretty interesting there. But yeah, I think overall, I think we're going to start seeing much more action now. I think people are a little bit more comfortable with the fact that interest rates are where they are. So it's a new norm. And once we hit a new norm, people are now settling in. And those who are considering buying are getting back in the market, and they're just trying to make a good deal. And even if it's not a good deal, there's some retail buyers that have this mentality that they would rather buy than to rent. And I don't know where that rates. But the only saving grace that they have, which is making them motivated right now, is the fact that they figure that they can always refinance later. So let's try to get a good deal now. So I think that's part of this weird little push this summer that's happening in all the markets. And so, and I think we're all seeing that in all the markets.
Yeah, I agree. And so, I mean, given that, like, how do we navigate? You know, like, where's opportunity? Where's the danger? I think, and we're discussing this on the panel at the Rise Up event, but I think we still have to be careful, especially those flipping houses, because I just have a feeling it's not over yet. Like we did a lot of damage with the 0% money and the just the spike in housing prices. I don't see how that can be. I mean, there's rhetoric out there about soft landing, and and maybe the supply shortage was perfect, I guess, so to backstop the housing market. But there's so much other variables like supply and demand, in the inflation and the cost of goods really does come down to supply and demand, but there's still other powerful factors that can influence supply and demand severely, right? Like politics, regulation. So I think it's still not over because unemployment is still very low, although there could be reasons for that too. But I think until that breaks, then yeah, I think we might still see an economy that's kind of artificially booming. So I would just say proceed with caution. We are, when it comes to acquiring property, making sure that you buy absolutely right, and maybe you don't want to take the comps in the last 6 months or even 12 months. We should be tracking, adjusting our criteria. That's just my opinion. Anybody got any thoughts? Are we going to have a soft landing and we should just get in now and lock in positions now? Or because I think these are discussions we should be having right now. Yep, that's a good one. Great words. Just keep buying your deals deep. Build your equity right from the jump when it comes to acquisitions. Yep. So make sure you're buying right. Thank you, Keone. Anybody else? Any insights? I'm thinking strategies for us. We're doubling down obviously on the lending side because we're just positioned right now. But I think on the acquisition side for purchasing, I have to put a pause on Vegas. It's just not happening, So I've been kind of watching that market now since about October of last year, almost a year now. Wow, that went by fast. So before we went to Seattle heavy, like it took us about a year to find, the right time and to get to know the market. I thought this one I was getting a head start, but it looks like it's still not over. And maybe Vegas will be a soft landing because it's just such an emerging market that perhaps it's one of those markets that during a recession, if it comes, it doesn't matter. They're going to make it through anyways. The fundamentals are there. That's why. So jobs moving in.
I think the other thing people are talking about as well a little bit that I've been starting to watch is that they feel like the commercial office space sector could be a real determining factor in terms of a domino effect of the economy crashing. And so for those that are kind of watching the news, even if you're not in the commercial, that could be a leading indicator as to some of the crisis that could happen. And so it is interesting to watch that for sure.
Yeah. The commercial space is interesting because not only has there, it's like perfect timing for like low maturities. The values were kind of, extra high. It was extra competitive over the last few years in that space. But commercial, you also have office retail, which is being disrupted, right? Especially, retail and office space were kind of getting disrupted, especially retail before COVID. because of online shopping, right? And then I think COVID was kind of like the nail in the coffin, the last one. So how is commercial space in that area going to be affected, and is in single family, does it really bleed over? And if so, how? Like, how does it? Like, I want to know the explanation of why they think the commercial space, how does it, where's the bleed over there? Because commercial is typically like B2B, you know, it's not really B2C. It's just with the massive defaults. Is that what they're saying, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I think what the sense is that it's such a large sector of real estate as a whole, office space. And then because people are not necessarily returning back to office, and most companies now, if they have a choice, aren't renewing leases. And so office space is just becoming very plentiful. So it does lead for an opportunity. So like in Washington, I know of a couple of buildings in Tacoma that were all office buildings, and they've now been rezoned to go to multifamily. Because there's a housing shortage, but there's not an office shortage. So any entrepreneurial investors, that is a cool opportunity, because you can do like an arbitrage type thing and try to figure out how to lease an entire building, go get the permittings for multifamily or mixed use. And then just as you get approvals, then you can close on the property, go renovate, and then you're going to make a ton of extra money, because the office people, they're just like, man, nobody's leasing the building, and you know, I need to make some money. So that's interesting. The other one that I've been seeing more and more as I travel, just last week we were down between Dallas and Waco. There's a massive shopping mall, completely a ghost town. And that's crazy, because just south of Dallas is, I mean, there's thousands of cars driving through that, because you drive that way to get to Austin and Waco. But I think we're going to start seeing more and more shopping centers also becoming ghost towns. As people are going more online shopping, and then even the retailers are starting to reduce their footprints. Mm-hmm. So what that tells us is that there's an opportunity even on the retail side to get creative on what we want to do there. But you can imagine that just in general, as a whole, if the commercial office space was to reduce by, say, 25%, let's not get crazy, let's just say 25%, and let's say retail also reduces, and retail malls start going empty because everyone goes online, then, man, that's a huge amount of real estate that's going to sit empty. And people own those things, which then the domino effect of that is going to be that things are going to change, you know, radically, right? Because a bunch of people are going to sit on default loans, and just the domino effect of all that. But that's just my thoughts. Anybody else got a thought on kind of what's happening?
I think it has a lot to do with the jobs. There's so many people who are not in the job market right now, and so many companies that aren't able to scale their footprint because they don't have workers. So I think they're not expanding to larger offices. They're, if anything, downsizing. They're not growing their retail spaces. I've seen a couple places out here in Hawaii who used to have two, you know, branches of their, or was it chains of their restaurant, and they've consolidated back to one because they just can't get enough workers to staff that second location.
Yeah, we had somebody in our office, remember Leila, the owner of one of the smoothie places in Ala Moana, which is an entry-level position. Yeah. And he was saying that, like, he can't get people to work for him, like, and he's like paying above minimum wage, and he's like, you know, it's an entry-level job, so it's like college students and stuff. And he's saying, like, the students are coming to me saying, oh, but I'm getting paid this, I'm getting offered this from the hotel, or are you going to take care of this and that? And he's like, whoa, wait, what? Like, who are you? Like, let me, like, your resume's got nothing. You know? But he's like, it's hard to get work. And to me, like, that's a huge sign of, yeah, the unemployment numbers, you know, it's like hard to get people out. And I think that is part of what we're facing, you know, in battling inflation. So that's not a good, you know, that's not good news, because we need unemployment to break a little, just like how we had the banks kind of feel the pressure. for us to kind of see inflation go down. Like I think unemployment, I agree with Leila, it's just there's no workers. Like we need to shake things up on that side, I feel. But if they do it too hard, then like it could break, like where now we're gonna for sure see a recession, So I think that's what's going on here, is we're at a critical point. I think the Fed is wondering what they should do. Like it looks like we're kind of soft landing, but I think I wouldn't bet on that. I would just, either way, it's always best to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? So, but I think there will be opportunity. And I did research and look into like office space and retail space conversions. Apparently it's not, even though it makes all the sense in the world because we're short millions of units, like it's still going to be, it's not easy to convert an office building into residential many times, because you need windows, you need air breeze, airflow, and many of the buildings cannot be converted because of the way they put the elevators, structurally. It is just a different asset, right? It may look like it could be the same, but it is different, and it's expensive to convert. And then you got to battle regulation and how long that takes, right? And rezoning. So especially in Hawaii, man. But I hear they are, trying to rezone one of them and convert one of the downtown office buildings. I don't know if it was like the Davies or.
They did one that was like 1185 or something, Bishop. I can't remember. One of those ones off of Fort Street Mall. They did convert that one. And I think the next one they're trying to convert is the Davies Center.
Yeah.
Davies Pacific Center.
Well, that would be huge, because like imagine how many units you can fit in both those buildings. Like that's thousands of new units. So we also have to look at that too, right? When that hits the market.
You know what?
Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, I was just going to say that fact alone, that you're totally right. It costs so much money to renovate an office building for multifamily for all of those reasons and even more. But the fact that you're seeing that happen shows us that the commercial space is in such desperation that somebody out there is willing to put all that money into a prime commercial office building to convert into multis. So to me, we're seeing that happening more and more. And it's, in my mind, it's almost like tear it down and rebuild, because you basically have to rebuild the whole thing. Electrical, like you got to meter everything different, like all of that has to be done, but yet they're doing it. So that's the crisis that I think we're going to start seeing, which will be pretty interesting to watch it unfold.
Yeah. A lot of it too has to do with the plumbing, right? Because once you do the rough plumbing, you usually do the stack where the toilets are kind of aligned. But it's so much less bathrooms in a office building. So you got to even think like, if you're going to convert it so every unit has its own bathroom or multiple bathrooms, that's all crap to come out, and sometimes they don't build the building to be able to handle that load, So some buildings just cannot be converted, is what I learned, because I thought, oh man, maybe there's opportunity, commercials kind of office space there's gonna be blood in the water there. And so I'm looking into it, I'm like, never mind, this sounds like a bunch of headaches. But the ones who are brave enough and have the spirit to go tackle that, I think that will be, that's going to be a lot of money in that space. I think a lot. So, but a lot of headaches for sure, and stress. Well, I'm surprised you never bought one yet, bro. Yeah, we'll leave it to the big dogs. Well,
okay, I want to hear about any deals that anybody's doing. Like, I know Keone's always working on some stuff. Like, anybody working on some exciting projects right now in this season, and what's working for you guys in this economy and what's not working? We'll go with Keone first, since he's got the fancy pants background.
I don't think it's anything fancy, and I love it. I'm the boring guy, man.
I'm the boring guy.
There's no boring. I'm probably the same, dude. And that's probably why I'm, you know, still in it, I guess, so to speak, still in an okay position because I don't get too high or I don't get too low. So the projects are still there. Still doing double digits as far as project numbers, but it's that the discipline about just not taking on anything and everything. I don't have FOMO. I don't get into multifamily. I don't get into all of these. I know my lane. When a deal appears and the numbers make sense, then I'll jump into it. But I don't get overwhelmed and I don't get all like truly it's FOMO. Like if all my boys and all my girls and all my friends are doing it, I always support. They tell me to come along. If the numbers make sense, I will. But other than that, I'm just low pro, boring, Keone, man. Doing what I do, just at the end of the day, it's like the numbers got to make sense. So, yeah, I mean, nothing exciting to tell you, Kiko. Honestly, man, it's just the same grit, same grind, bro. Always elevating though, for sure. But I mean, my deals aren't sexy.
Well, what's sexy is that you're consistent, and then you know what you're doing. So the surprises become pretty routine. You know that after a while flipping houses, your surprises are all the exact same over and over again, just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Same. So that's smart because then you get a nice clean paycheck. So what are the numbers you're working with these days?
Well, let me just say this. So I guess the exciting stuff is we're getting into more development on the outer islands. I guess I would say that, right? Like, so I'm doing Oahu, and at the end of the day, the big goal is always like, we all have the same heart of trying to get more local families into homes and trying to make it as affordable as we can. Oahu is a little bit tough, which is why I live by those rules about we got to try and buy as deep as possible, just because I'm not trying to shoot the market and trying to get as top on the market. If we can create something for local families to get into, that's me on the beginning. And that's the strategy that I use is like, if I can buy it as low as I can, as deep as I can, it gives opportunity on the back end when we are in the dispo phase that we find an amazing local family. But then guess what happens? Markets shoot up, rates shoot up, especially all the homes that I'm doing on the west side of Oahu. Amazing families, they work super hard, but then what happens? They get killed on the rates. So who can make a difference? I can come in and say, shit, you know what? I bought it. Right. Let me try and bring that down even lower then. Yeah. So that's the strategy that I use. And that's why staying disciplined on what Corey was talking about, like that's just the best thing to do if we are truly in it for the reasons that we all preach, right? People say it, but they don't really live by it because it always comes down to like, I want all this money and all of that, but different hearts, it's okay. I'm just saying that this helps if you can just buy it correctly from the beginning. So not to get into all the weeds, but that's the biggest strategy that I've been using. And to me, that's sexy. That's the emotional paycheck that I live by, not the financial paycheck. Those things that we can really put houses back into inventory, back into circulation, cool. But when we can actually make an impact on local families' lives to become homeowners, shit, man, you can't put a price on that, bro.
I love it, dude. You're missional as well, which I think is awesome. When we're driven by mission and a value like that, it keeps us excited about what we do, because otherwise it becomes a little routine, right, over time.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as when the numbers come, to answer your question, I'll circle back to that. It's like whatever makes sense, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, because like how much effort we're going to put into this house, we can always say like, oh, 70% this, 80% that. But how much work do we have to put into it, especially if we're borrowing hard money? You know, it's got to make sense. Like, we don't want to dump in so much money to one project, especially on Hawaii. It's super expensive. You know, median is $1 million. I mean, like, we're going to dump that much money. Like, why not just spread that out into multiple projects? This is my strategy, especially for on the windward side. That's $1 million price points easily. Then I'm going to focus more on the west side where I can spread out the money and borrow from Keiko. And it just makes sense for me to do that. So I don't really have a pinpoint, and people always ask me that, and I don't avoid the question. It really it varies, man. It's like that swinging pendulum. I don't know. I'll look at the deal, and it's not just the numbers. It's like, will it make sense? How many families can we help, you know, if we invest in something like this immediately? So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I'm just being honest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Leila, you had your hand raised, your virtual hand.
I have a question for Keone, because I know you're just very You're very organized. You're very systematic. I've seen you at work. What would you say is something that now maybe you're focusing on improving during this time? Because I know that's something we're focusing on, like finding the things that you can get better at.
I gave a presentation not too long ago. I was a guest speaker at one of the investors' meetups or something like that. And I ended up showing them that what was game changers for me, Layla. And two big game changers in what I do now that really helped was creating design concept packages. This is how I communicate. At the end of the day, we all know that communication is key. And it came down to like working with contractors. There's always something that gets, I mean, we think we do our best with communicating and it just doesn't happen. So what I did was I created these design packages dependent upon the type of renovations that we're doing. And what that looks like is it's room by room, every single piece that we're going to touch, and then we're going to be fixing up. So like, I know we have normally scopes of works, but it's even on top of the scopes of work. It's literally telling them like, this is every room. Like if there's 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, the communication, meaning showing them pictures and then going into detail that they can literally click into it, that this is where we're buying it from. This is the color scheme. This is the cost of it. So that way there's no miscommunication where, oh, I thought you said it was going to be this. And like, no, this is the picture. This is the SKU number and every room. So living room, pictures, and then the fans, the fixtures. So that way it's all there. And then you can always circle back when there's a disagreement. Hey, remember, this was in the scope. This was in the design package. Who messed up?
Yeah. So you actually draw it out?
Yeah,
Funny, draw it out.
It took a while. It took a while to get there, but like every concept house that I have, West Side houses, luxury houses, they have a design package, every room to show, and I hand that off to my contractor. And then that way I don't have to be involved, right? The price is already built in. They don't have to call me at the pro desk. So that was a big relief for me, but it's always the communication that I improved on. And then obviously using Slack channels, right? All of those things, Asana, all of those things help for communication. I mean, it seems super simple, but communication is where all of the big ticket items always mess up on, because we feel that we just handed it off and then we'll just pop back in every week and whatnot. I'm like, oh shit, what happened? Like, well, this is where we can always stay. So I use that. That was big game changers for me in the business on how we can move forward and accomplish more things without always having to go 2 steps back.
I love that. Yeah, you got to dummy proof it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the dummy.
For me and for them, right? It's not just the contractors, but like sometimes we get ahead of ourselves because we got so much things going on. We feel that we're clear, but we weren't, right? They speak their own language, we speak our own language, but we always got to be on the same page. So I don't know if that makes sense, but those documents that I use, it really helped me, I guess, not have to lose time, right? That's what the biggest asset they have is the thing about the time and the budget, and it helps both. When they have clear instructions, literally showing them like right here you go. You got any questions? Let's talk about it. But I'm literally showing them pictures, and I'm a visual guy too. So like when I see that, like, wow, okay, I see the bathrooms. I see what you want in the bathrooms. Where do I get it from? Like what kind of, and I can see the style because he already showed me that. So I'm not like, is this the one? Is this the one? Like, no, right there. The SKU number is right there. And then that I bought from Amazon. Here's everything from Amazon. Bing, bing, bing. Here's all the light fixtures. Here's the bath fixtures.
Yeah, that's great. And like, especially during times like where it's a little slower, that's when you work on the processes and systems, like, and it's like, that's another one of the lessons that we've been talking about in our office. Like usually there's like a theme, like for me, it comes like from different angles. And this is another confirmation on the lesson. The lesson is to sharpen your axe.
Yes.
Sharpen the axe before you start chopping the tree. And because it's not just time that it will save, but it's energy, brain energy, and like having to stop and handle a problem or answer a simple question that could have been handled like months ago because you did the prep work, right? Like it's sharpening the axe. That's the lesson I've been learning. And the other one I feel that relates to is like there's multiple ways around a problem, I feel, and like some of us, especially if kind of you're one of those people that have a lot of energy, and like we all go through obstacles and walls differently. And some people just plow right through. They don't finesse their way. They don't know that they can climb over, they can go around, so like we have guys, who it's their nature is to just run through the wall. That's the only way to get through like a wall. And they'll get through, but not without cost of energy and like some little bit of sanity here and there and time, and so we want to find the most efficient way around the wall. And in this scenario of flipping houses, like that seems like a very efficient way. You got to visualize, like show it to them, document. And yeah, I love
a bit granular, right? Like, I mean, like I know people might say, like, for those who don't understand what even Slack is, it's just another communications. It's an app that we communicate within. So when you have multiple projects, and even if you have one project, the reason why it helps out, like when we're dealing with all these, you can already label each one and you can invite people into this channel. So that way it doesn't get lost in the sauce in your actual personal text. That's what happens. Everybody uses their personal phone and their text, and then all of a sudden he said, she said, and you got to literally scroll back, like where the hell was that? What date was that? If you already have a built-in Slack channel for specific 123 Main Street project, everybody communicates in there. Everything, all documents from the time you do purchase contracts, right from jump, from that EMD check, it's all in there. Everybody communicates in there, so there's no loss. Like anything that was done for their project is in there and not in your personal text. And it just clears all of that stuff up. That's what Slack, helps, going a little bit granular without getting into the weeds. It helps out, again, with what Corey is saying. And for me, Layla, I don't know if that helps out. I mean, but that's pretty much what really helped me on my end to stay organized. At the end of the day, by trade, like, I have a team, but like, truly, it's just solopreneur, right? And that just helps me with my sanity, what Corey just said, with the mentals, just to not get all crazy, because it takes a lot of energy. But once you set it up, it's good, and then it's just like rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And the other thing you said too that caught my attention was that like you do it, like you're a disciplined investor, right? And as we all should be. And that's not easy, right? But it's like kind of, we had a conversation before about like, you got to have purpose behind what you're doing, or passion, or both, preferably both. If you have passion and purpose behind like what you're doing, then you're going to be successful. It's just a matter of time, and how long is it going to take you? And if you're working efficiently and smart enough to get there quicker, but because if you have those two behind what you're doing, you're playing a different game, right? And I've recently felt this way, like within the last month. It was actually after the guys were here, like, and I, spent a lot of time with them, basically like living side by side, eating side by side, solving problems, talking about entrepreneurship, life, relationships, everything, and I found like, yeah, my purpose, like I could care less about loans, and real estate. Really, I care about like people, especially like the people like I'm directly responsible for, and who are in our company and who we're leading. And that's my purpose now, like that's why I wake up in the morning, and that's why I make the sacrifices I make. And when you have that behind you, like I think I have a different look now, a different vision. I'm at peace. And I think it's because now it's a different, feeling when you're not doing it for money or to satisfy other people. And, John Wooden, which is like he's a legendary basketball coach, right? Like he would say, and I remember my coach telling me this, is like, fatigue makes cowards of us all. Like if you don't put the work in and in practice, and you're not conditioned to play in the game, you're going to be tired. And when you're tired, you cut corners, you get lazy, you take the coward way out. And I think in our business and what we do day to day, you can get fatigued. There's no doubt, like physically as well. Sometimes it's stressful, and sometimes you make a mistake and there's a lot on the line and it's scary. So what gets us through that is, I feel, the purpose and the passion that you have, and if you have that behind you, then hopefully you won't get fatigued or fatigued enough where you start to cut corners and you compromise on your principles and your values, because business can do that to you, especially the higher and higher you go and the higher and higher the stakes get, then it becomes easier and easier to try to cut corners sometimes, because it gets overwhelming. And I think if you haven't done the prep work and you get fatigued, you will. So as long as we're conscious of that, and I think the main point behind that is that if we understand, what are we really doing this for? Like, you need a deeper purpose, a deeper why than just to be financially free. That's not enough, so I resonated. You only touched upon it, but that was another lesson that's been kind of being thrown at me, is that I'm playing a different game now, and I feel like I just leveled up because of that. Because I don't care about other things now. I only focus on things that are going to bring us faster to like my purpose, which is watching our team win now, watching their lives change, watching them lead, like that's my wins now, like watching them score touchdowns is like so much more fulfilling. And of course I win too, we all win. So once you find purpose, like I think you're playing a different game and you can't lose. I feel like I won already.
With that, I agree 100% with everything you just said. Sometimes it's a little difficult though, and I'll just share a little without getting into the weeds. But when you say that, we got to find purpose, we got to find why, 1000%, man. But people have a hard time saying that because it's just surface level. You really got to spend the time. One of my mentors that I started out with and I'm still with is Dean Graziosi. And he actually goes over with something that's called 7 levels deep. Right. And 7 levels deep is literally asking almost the same thing 7 times. And then you'll really get to the heart of it. By probably the 4th or 5th, you're probably bawling already. Mm-hmm. Because there's always some inner thing that like you were at the top, like you use like, oh, why do you want to be successful? Oh, financial freedom. Oh, my kids. Oh, my family. That's true. But that's not the real reason. So you keep asking, oh, great. Why you want to be this for your family? And the more you ask that 7 times, you will get to the crux. You will get to the heart, and that's when you become vulnerable. And the mask that everybody puts in front, that's why I said you're going to be bawling. So that's the truth. And that's why I love that you're at this place in your life, Corey, because it is true. Like once you can find that, unstoppable. And then that's when we start truly making an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. Yeah, going deep. I never knew how to really explain it because like, I like to think that, conversations like I have and like it's deeper, like I don't really like the surface level. You can kind of get that anywhere, right? But the relationships I want is like, I want to talk about, like what's the lessons here? Like if I see somebody who I respect, like, or admire, like you got to ask yourself, why do I respect and admire this person? Is it the way they walk? Is it the way they carry themselves? Is it because that they have principles they've told you? I don't know, like that's the stuff now when you understand that the lessons are all around us, and all we have to do is dig for them and pay attention for them. Like, yeah, you can go deep on any subject and pull lessons out, especially your purpose and your why, right? Like, why are we on this call on Friday? I think we should dive into that. Okay, well, I care about my future. I feel like this is the right move for my future. I learn, I get to see my friends. Like, it's important, I think, to self-reflect and audit. I was telling one of the exercises too, when the guys were here, is it's hard to wake up sometimes 2:30 in the morning, and get ready and be in the office by 4. And so on the way driving there, sometimes it's no energy, right? And those times, all I want to do is blast a good song, and daydream, and daydream, but not just daydream, but when we get to your destination or whatever you're daydreaming about, like audit it. What did you daydream about and why? Why was I daydreaming about this? It made me proud, made me feel respected, valued, that I'm giving value, important. Like, I think it's important to set aside time for that, you know. And Leonard Rosen is a mentor of ours, and he told us, like, he told me specifically that my job should be to only think. That's it. You know, eventually, at some point, you know, if you've built the right company, is when your job is just to think about stuff and people and your people. And I understand what he's saying now, you know, because it's a full-time job almost, you know, to have to think about everyone and take care of everyone and the company and make the right decision. So, you know, one day, hopefully, you know, we'll all be there. That's the goal, you know.
You know, I'll share, I know we're low on time, but like, just to piggyback on that, I mean, and share with this group, Corey, is I recently went to, it was a 3-day workshop, you know which one I went to, and there was a segment in that 3-day workshop, and this is a real estate thing, where it was mastering the mindset. This is what they really push on, and I look forward to it. I mean, like, you know, like up here, the mentors is a big deal. That's where it all starts, right? At the end of the day, that's the most important piece of real estate in my mind, is the 6 inches between your ears. And when it came to that, everybody was sharing their stories of why they're there, and it was a tearjerker, right? There's a lot of emotion going on. There's vulnerability, and you have to release that mask. And as we were going through it, the person on the stage was writing down words that she was hearing and from everybody in the audience. And at the top, it was success. Then there was all these different words that was going on, and everybody sharing their stories, sharing their reasons. Everybody has a journey. Everybody has a story. My point is, this is 1 hour into it, everybody's bawling, everybody's going on, and I hear it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then at the very bottom, there was this thing that said, do the work. So nobody else wanted to talk, and I just took the mic and I just said, you know, I agree with everything it's saying, but in order to be successful, this is just my opinion. There's at the bottom, you circle success, at the bottom it says do the work. That's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, there is no easy button when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's grit, right? And then it's like, you know, you can want it as much as you want. Nobody can want it for you. You got to want it for yourself. That's why it's like, it all starts upstairs, but like, you can say what you want. It's motivation, right? All of these things sounds great. Well, especially if you're from Hawaii, you got to fly back on that plane. And then here you go. No pun intended, but pun intended. You're back on an island. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we have community and whatnot, but it's up to you to make it happen. So it was a big deal. You know, that's why that levels deep is like, you really got to hone in on your why. Yeah. And that's the inner motivation, the self-audit, everything that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because life does get in the way, right? You get raw at the motivation, whatever you fly off to, you come back like, well, I gotta go back to my 9 to 5. I got my family, I got my friends. It's like, well, okay, what was the focus, right? How do we get there and how to accomplish it? So it just comes down to like freaking good old fashioned work, the action steps every damn day.
Yeah. And you know, that's it's so powerful too, because we can talk about this with our friends, our family, and you don't know when you're gonna spark something in them, you know, and that's another thing Leonard said. He said, you guys need to be thought leaders. You know, I'm like, thought leaders, thought leader. Never thought of it that way, you know, where you can lead someone in thought. You can ask questions. Like Sheena, you know, she used to be my assistant. Now she's like running the whole back end of our company, you know, and but she's a thought leader, because we do our book clubs with the Go Giver series, and like she asks questions, like genuine questions about the topics, you know. It's like, wow, you know, I never thought about it that way. Like, for instance, she would, like, something sparked it in her that we read to ask me, like, how did I make like certain hard decisions that we have to make? Like, how do we make those calls? I've never really been asked that, you know, like, why did we make that decision? Like, so I had to think about it. And the thought of me having to think about it has brought clarity to me. You know, she was a thought leader for me. I would have never have gone a little deeper into like a question like that. You know, I just we make the decision, we move on, we move forward. But it is important to stop and think, like, why did we make that decision? Why did we feel that way? You know, and so she asked, how do I make decisions? I had to really think about it. And then it helped me process to now. I now know, thanks to her, that how I make decisions, especially important ones, And for me, I found that I make decisions. It comes all the way down to what's the right thing to do, and then what's fair, right? Because a lot of times the right thing to do and what's fair is not the same. And so the way I've now come to know myself, thanks to Sheena again, thank you, Sheena, is that I make decisions based on what's the right thing to do. And then the way we iron out, because sometimes it's not black and white decisions, you know, for some situations are definitely not black and white. So there's going to be some friction there. People aren't going to, you know, agree, or they may disagree. They may not like your decision. So how do you iron that out? Well, that's where the what is fair comes into place, where perhaps you can come to compromise to make it a little more fair and harmonious, you know. So that's how I found I make decisions, and I would never known if it wasn't for Sheena, you know, and being a thought leader for me. So, and I think we can, if anything, if we can get anything out from this call, then yeah, let's be intentional about being thought leaders. Let's think a little deeper on things and pull lessons out. Sheena, do you have any insight, since we had a great conversation? You don't have to unmute or anything, but love to hear from you.
You might be multitasking.
I think she is, actually. She might be on the phone with one of the guys. I can kind of hear. But anyways, maybe Sheena can give us insight on the next call. Yeah, Sheena. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging on. I know we ran a little bit over, but it was great discussion. I feel hopefully there's value in there. Oh yeah, Sheena said she's on the phone with one of our processors. So next week, Sheena, we'll bring you on. We're gonna have Sheena on. Oh, that'll be great. Oh, she's probably hating me right now. She's messaging me on the side. Oh, we love you, Sheena. Well, thank you guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy Aloha Friday. We'll see you guys all next week. Jake, I come cruise your house, bro. I want to see the eagles.
Yeah, I had one just flying around a little while ago. So come up, visit. Wow. You're always welcome.
Oh, dude. Thanks. Well, I'm gonna take you up on that.
For sure.
We'll see you guys. Thank you, Kyone. Okay. Thanks, Ben. See you guys.